I was just grinding, and my whole life was revolving around sport, around making money. Just everything was around making money, and I was doing very, very well. And I had so many things going on. From the outside, people were like, "Man, this guy is top of the world," but inside, I was just chasing the wrong thing.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Biz Dad podcast. Today, I'm excited to have Lisle Head on the call. We have mutual friends in Stu Grazier who introduced us. I'm looking forward to chat with Lisle and learning a little bit more about him and his family, as well as his business. I love getting to meet new people, and this will be the first time we really have an in-depth talk, period. So I can't wait for it. But Lisle, if you can, go ahead and introduce yourself and your family and tell us a little bit about your business.
Thanks for having me, Adam. No, excited to be here. So, 46 years old, 17 years ago, I made a trip to Costa Rica and decided to never leave. Since then, I married a girl from Colombia that I met here. I had an 11-year-old daughter, built a few businesses, real estate, vacation rentals. Now I'm in the coaching and consulting and also doing some real estate development. And the most recent exciting dad thing that I've done is almost a year ago, we semi-adopted a young girl from an island here. Her mom wanted to give her an opportunity to play more soccer and get more experience. So she asked if she could come live with us this year, and it's been amazing. Watching this young girl coming from a small island, being exposed to, the mainland and going to a big school and playing in national soccer tournaments and being able to experience that, get my daughter to be able to experience that humbleness and bringing that into our house has been a pretty darn cool experience. So
that's really awesome. Yeah. So I bet you, they're 11 and 13. So I bet you those two girls are at this point probably like connected to the hip and just loving life together, huh?
Yeah. They're boys and all that stuff, it's.
No, that's not going to happen. I've got a 4-month-old daughter, and she's not going to ever be interested in boys. So never going to happen.
I'm like, break your heart as soon as possible. Break your heart as soon as possible. I want to be there when it happens.
It's bound to happen. Be there to support. Be ready for it. Yeah. No, I look forward to having my daughter find a solid young man to be able to be by her side the rest of her life. So it's a wonderful thing that I hope to be an example of what she should be shooting for when she is looking for a husband. So, but tell me a little bit about 17 years ago, right? Jumping into Costa Rica. Why did you choose Costa Rica? What happened with that? And then, like, were you already in business at that point? Were you not in business? How did the Costa Rica thing go?
Yeah. I've been doing entrepreneur stuff ever since even high school and all through college. I had a mortgage company before I came to Costa Rica, and I was just grinding, and my whole life was revolving around sport, around making money. Just everything was around making money, and I was doing very, very well from the outside. I had a 5,000 plus square foot house on a country club. I had the biggest Beamer you could possibly have. Like, I had a limousine company. I had so many things going on. From the outside, people were like, "Man, this guy is top of the world." But inside, I was just chasing the wrong thing. And I was caught into this cycle that I didn't feel like I was ever going to be able to get out of. And I took a vacation. I was like, I need to take a vacation. I need to go do something. I literally went by myself to Costa Rica for 3 weeks. And within the first 10 days, I'm sitting on a golf course, which I lived on a private country club at that time. I had played high school golf. I was supposed to play golf in college. Golf was my life in my younger days. And I hadn't played in years. Living on a country club because it's time. I'm not going to make money playing golf was my justification.
Yeah.
And I meet this hippie guy on the golf course that's barefoot, smoking pot, playing 300 rounds a year and surfing every day. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? This is what I'm like, everybody's trying to get to this. I'm living in Northern California. How can I make enough money to live in Santa Monica, be on the beach and live this lifestyle? I'm like, I'm doing something wrong. I can do this right now. I'm out of here. I'm selling everything. I'm coming down here. I'm going to go figure it out. And I literally went home for 9 days, sold everything, sold all my real estate, got a 350 square foot apartment about 2 blocks from the beach and a bicycle. I was like, I'm going to figure it out.
Nice.
And
that's burning the ships right there. Holy gracious. You weren't playing around.
It was so needed. It was so needed. And I just went into this mindset. I started going, everything was like, okay, how am I going to recover my health? Because I went from playing, I was supposed to play college golf. I ended up not. I ended up playing some football. So I got really big, really muscular, doing steroids, all that kind of stuff. And then I went totally extreme into work. So then I turned into fat and unhealthy and was drinking every day and smoking pot and doing all this stuff. It was just all these vices to deal with, the stress of grinding, every single day. And so then I went and I'm going to figure out my health. And that's pretty much been where my motto's been for the last 17 years. It started with physical health and then starting to understand that it's truly the mental health is the only way you can really, unless you figure that part out, the stories you tell in your head, like there's no figuring anything else out in life. And that's been the last 8 to 10 years really focused journey, which has increased my health, has increased my wealth, has increased, all these things.
Yeah.
Because that's where the primary focus is now.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's the mental side is once you really, and I'm still in the middle of trying to strengthen that side of it to really get through and have some of those breakthroughs that I'd really like to have. But just getting even halfway through it and, getting a hold of some of the stuff is unreal, what it can actually do and help you shape, I look at how even basic finance stuff, how you probably don't know much of my backstory, but I was a paycheck to paycheck guy for a long time, didn't know anything else, and then I started working on my thought processes, my, figuring out all the stuff and where that came from, and then went off on a different rail with my financial situation and moves, and then same thing with my mental health when it came to my family, my dad especially, really trying to understand who he was. But before I go down that tangent, I want to ask you about your dad so I can kind of see how all of this kind of came in together, right? So tell me a little bit about Lisle growing up, who you were, what it was like living with your dad and who your dad was. Talk to me a little bit about the history of who you are.
Yeah, my parents had me when they were young. They were 21, 22 years old. My name's Lisle. I was born on a little island in Northern California. So my mom named me Lisle, right? Hippie parents. They ended up moving to this. Where they were at was in the Bay Area. My mom was afraid of me going to big schools in the Bay Area and being in the city. So they ended up moving to this real small town in Northern California called Fort Bragg. Just about 5,000 people live there. Little fishermen, logging community, and pot growers. This really was the mix of people that were there. So yeah, my parents moved there. My mom didn't work for the first 5-6 years of my life. She had a little nursery so that she could be there and take care of me. She didn't feed me sugar. She didn't do anything, full on hippie mom, no TV, and stayed with me and trained and developed me as a very young kid. So when I went to kindergarten, all that stuff was easy. My dad was the manly man. My dad was he was a hunter. He was a contractor. He built houses, drinking beer, chewing tobacco, guy, and was always, tough guy, everything's take shit from anybody, always had the armor on. So I always wanted to be like that, right? In the same, I'm trying to chew tobacco. I'm hunting. I'm shooting. I got my first gun at 4.5 years old. I got my first motorcycle at 4.5 years old and riding around the neighborhoods, killing things. That was my life. My dad was my coach as a kid, and I played all the sports. I wrestled, I boxed, I played t-ball, football. And he was my coach all the way until about 8 or 9 years old. And then he got in a car wreck coming back from a job site. And he broke his back, and they determined he was permanently disabled. And it was because he couldn't pass some proficiency test. So he ends up getting on pain pills and goes down this whole, he's only 30 years old, and they tell him he can't work anymore. And so he went through this mean, everything changed in my life after that, right? Like he was no longer my coach. He's high on pills. He goes through like 9 different rehabs. I have to go talk to a psychiatrist. And I'm a sharp kid. Like even at 8 years old, like I'm not your average, 8-year-old. Like I have complex thought processes, and I know what's going on, right? Like I remember going to these psychiatrists, and like within 2 or 3 sessions, the psychiatrist was like, "Get this kid out of here." Like it's just a waste to even have this kid here. Like so I started slowly becoming the man of the house, right? And I was doing really well in school. I'm doing really well in sports. So nobody could tell me anything. And I lived in a very small town, and I got away with everything.
Yeah.
Right. So I went through this period of time of being in the small town, getting away with everything, only doing the things that I like to do. And I got out, but I mean, through that period, I was a big partier, big drinker, lots of girls, all these things that men were getting rewarded for, right? Being a bully, all these like negative things that I kept getting like lifted up to be like and do. So yeah, I ended up going to college and ended up getting in trouble my first year in college. I got kicked out. Ended up going to junior college. Got lucky in the junior college. I ended up playing football. One of the best guys on the football team. Me and him were best friends. And he wasn't going to a school unless I went with him. So I ended up getting to go to UC Berkeley. That's the thing back here. He got me into UC Berkeley after I got kicked out of UC Davis. Because he wasn't going there unless I went with him. Which nice. And then when you start learning and going out in the real world that you're not invincible, right? They start actions. There's actual consequences for them, right? That's the beginning of starting to learn that stuff all through college, and and my dad wasn't in my. I mean, he was there, but he wasn't in my life, and my mom was a codependent of him, so. She never argued. She would try to argue with me, but my mom couldn't argue with me about anything either. So, I mean, at the young age, like in my mid-teens to mid-20s, like nobody told me anything. Like I thought I knew everything. Like I didn't have anybody around me that I felt was smarter than I was or could tell me anything, which wasn't healthy. That's what I've been repacking for the last 20 years.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot there to repack, unpack, repack, and all that. I can't imagine. My dad broke his back in the military, and then, but thankfully, was not, disabled to that point. But it was, watching him go through some of the suffering throughout the rest of his life, and he ended up still, getting another career and go through all that. But man, it just like, as with most. I think teenage boys thought that I knew everything as well, and none of that stuff mattered. But I couldn't imagine the extra part of not even having the father figure around, having to be the man of the house and do all the stuff. So, how did that as you were going through that? What kind of well, first off, do you have any siblings, or are you an only child?
Yeah, I have a younger sister. She's 3 years younger than me, and with her. Because I was so good in sports and so good in school and all these things, like I was winning. When she got into sports, the first sport she got into and she didn't win, she shut down. And everything in her life, she never wanted to do anything that I did because she was always being compared to me. Right. So that was brutal for her. Right. Like she got into high school, I'm the cool kid in high school, the captain of the football team, all these certain things. And she's like, doesn't want to be associated that's Lisle's little sister. Because that's how everyone
Yeah.
Right. So she dealt with that,
whole
thing that she had to deal with, right? And we have a great relationship now, but that was definitely tough for her.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah. How did she take you ended up having to be almost the man of the house as all that was going? Did she, I mean, obviously she wasn't a fan of having to, follow in your footsteps and some of those things, but what was it like as, with you inside the house with her?
I didn't care about anybody. I was so bad. I had no higher power. I didn't care about anybody. I was on the planet by myself doing whatever I felt was right, and nobody else's opinions or feelings mattered. Like I had no sympathy or empathy for anybody on the planet. It was that bad.
And so it was much less about being the man of the house and much more about being the man.
Control.
Right.
Yeah, just being the man.
Yeah.
And I'm in control and nobody tells me what to do. I'm going to do it however I want to do it. Good luck.
Yeah. I would imagine. So you said it was until your mid-20s. What hit in the mid-20s that really made you kind of change that thought process and that pattern?
I mean, it probably really, Costa Rica was a real beginning of where I was putting in the energy. I mean, I was starting to, it was, in my 20s, it was, you'd get in trouble. Like I'd get in trouble for certain things and then realize, okay, these things don't work, right? I'd have a business. I'll lose a bunch of money in a business. Well, look at how I treated these people. I was at least aware enough to see that my mistakes, I could go back and look at them and say, okay, what did I do wrong here? How could I have adjusted this? And then, right. And then I hired a coach. I hired this mortgage broker coach that started pointing things out to me, right. And calling me out on different stuff. That really started the beginning of the transformation for me, and diving into, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, The Peaceful Warrior, John Maxwell, just starting to go to those courses and, trying to learn the 7 habits. Like I remember the first time I read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I'm like, there ain't a human on the planet that's anywhere like this. Like not that I've ever seen. Because it's like, are you serious? Like this is not even like, really?
Yeah,
like I was like, this is depressing. Like I'm never going to be able to do this. Right? Now it's like, get it. Like it's time, it's work, it's you put it in and it'll happen. So just the beginning of failing so many times, and I'm such an optimist that I just kept failing and then improving a little bit. I just kept growing, right? As a human, I just kept growing and evolving and realizing that these behaviors are what are causing me to fail.
Yeah.
Right. And that's even to this day. I was mentoring a guy this morning and telling him, like, look at these, all my things that I do right now is just trying to break a conditional autopilot habit that I have that is disrupting me from taking the next step in my life. Right. It's just one at a time. I'm not trying to do hundreds. It's just now, and I've been doing this for 20 plus years, just keep stacking on a new one, and building confidence with myself and be like, what is the thing that's really gonna change me? Right. Like 12 years ago, I quit alcohol. That was one that was huge for me. My daughter was born. I was like, I don't want her to drink alcohol. I've seen what it's done in my family in the past. I'm going to be the model to show her that alcohol is not needed to enjoy your life.
Nice.
So,
yeah, I want to rewind a minute because you mentioned hiring a coach. Now there had to be a step in between there because you don't usually go from the world is all of mine to hiring a coach without something happening in between. So what how did you end up deciding to hire a coach?
I did this gym project, and I lost about $750,000, and I did everything right. I thought. Right. So what it made me realize is I didn't have anybody around me that was really the right people around me. So I needed to go outside. I needed to go, from reading books and doing different things. It was like, this was what at that period of time in my life was like, this is what you need to do. This is the next step you need to take. You need to go get somebody from the outside that can show you who you are.
Yeah.
Because everybody in my circle, I didn't have anybody in my circle.
When you decided again, I want to dig a tiny bit deeper. I'm going to see if I can pick the scab a little bit. There had to be did you run out of people to blame on the 3/4, because like if you, I don't, and I could be just filling in gaps on myself, right? Like, if you lost $750,000, like where you're like, man, I literally ran out of people to blame. This has got to be on me. So like, how do I fix this part? Like what?
I don't think I accepted. Yeah, I don't think I accepted that it was on me until I had that coach. Right. Like I don't think I fully accepted it was on me. And I don't. That even took a little bit of time. I mean, that was probably until I fully started truly accepting that I was responsible for everything that happened in my life. Probably wasn't until my early 30s.
Okay.
Right. I think I still would blame other people. I would still blame laziness of other people, of why they weren't successful, why my leadership wasn't working. Right. That's been an evolution. That's taken a long time, and I don't know the exact time to where it shifted. Now it just feels normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like now I fully I know every resistance that's in my life is my resistance. It's no one else's. Like, it's been a process of step by step work for almost 20 years, probably right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that certainly doesn't happen overnight. That I like to think that I'm in the middle of it. Like I was talking about before. Like it's understanding exactly who we are really helps to figure out how we can interact with people in a better manner and how we can go through it. But so tell me about the coach. How did that? What did that coach say to you that helped you kind of open your eyes and start to work towards that that understanding?
Honestly, I mean, it was just calling me out, right? It was someone that was just calling me out that I respected, right? And it was just calling my bullshit every single week when I'm on the calls with him, right? Like they were just calling me out. And it was just like my first taste of really having that. I mean, I had coaches that would call you out in sports and stuff like that, but it wasn't the same as calling you out in life situations that you're hiding behind and doing. So, that's probably the primary thing. And then I started.
I would guess as somebody who was always
real estate. Yeah, I got into real estate and hired like technical coaches as I started going further. Right, I kind of always keep a coach in my corner now, one way or another, or something.
For sure, that's one of the reasons I wanted to ask that is because I think coaches are. Most folks who have grown up in like sports, they're like, yeah, sure, coaching, that's great. Like we all want coaches. And then we get into the rest of life and we're like, oh yeah, we don't need coaches anymore. And it's like, nah, like we still probably should. Like, I mean, some people have done life a little better than we have. So let's find out how to do life better. Just like some people know how to do sports a little better than we do. Let's get somebody that can teach us how to do sports. So, and I would imagine for you coming from where you were and listening to your story a little bit, I would imagine it was very hard to hear anybody call you out on anything, because you probably had never really had that.
I sat in a pinnacle everywhere. Yeah, I sat in a pinnacle everywhere I was at. Right, I was I was always the final sayer. I would ask
nobody could tell me what to do,
and I would ask for their opinion, but I would never listen. It was all. It
was a self-serving question. Let me ask you for your opinion to make me sound better.
Exactly.
How have you been trying to? A lot of that has obviously started to change before you had your daughter. How have you been trying to, raise your daughter in a way that prevents her from going down some of those rough roads that you had to pave the way for?
Yeah, it's a slippery slope, man. It's really, really difficult. Just trying to. My main thing with my daughter ultimately is I want her to trust me. Like, I think that is the biggest thing. That's where I went off the rails. And every kid or every person that I've met that's kind of gone off the rails, they lost trust with their parents.
Yeah.
And I've seen it with some of the stupidest things. Like, I've met girls that when they found out about Santa Claus, they lost the trust with their parents. Right? Like, the Easter Bunny, and they don't trust their parents anymore. So now, when you don't trust that adult, that figure in your life, then you're going to go try to discover things on your own, and you're not going to come to someone that's going to actually guide you and care about you. Right. So that's been my primary thing is don't lie to her for nothing. Right. And really show her that I'm there no matter what. I make mistakes. Right. Learning about vulnerability. Like, that was not a word in my life before I had a daughter. You know, that was not something that I shared, like, and being aware of the reflection that she is of me. Like, that's probably the biggest one, right? Noticing these resistance that I had for her and having to stop and pause and go, oh, okay, that's me. Okay, can't get mad at her about what I taught her.
Yeah.
She's following, mirroring me. Like, now how do I show her that, yes, I do that, but we both need to change together, because this isn't the way we want to project ourselves into the world. Thank you for making me aware.
How have you had that conversation? Yeah, how have you had that conversation with her?
At 11, just like that. It's like black and white, direct conversations with her. We started a reflection practice a couple of years ago where we reflect with each other at least once a month. We were doing it daily, where we share what made you upset. What did I do to upset you today? What did you do to upset me today? With the goal that I'm going to share with you first what I did to upset you, because then I'm aware that I did. But giving you the safe place that, hey, my wife and my daughter can truly share with me what I did to upset them. And this was all sparked because my wife was like, I heard her tell my daughter, hey, that's just the way your daddy is. And it killed me. I'm like, no, if I'm doing something that's driving you nuts and you're just going to say, that's the way I am, I have no idea that I'm doing that to drive you nuts. I think people are not aware of they miss that so much. They're like, I don't think there's too many humans on the planet that go out, hey, let me go see how I can piss off my wife.
Yeah.
Let me go see how I can make
I would imagine they're out there, but probably not too many.
I don't wake up and say, let me see how I can frustrate everybody in my household. And then you allow me to frustrate you every single day and don't tell me? Like, how am I going to change?
Yeah. And I think forcing those conversations, and forcing is probably the wrong word, but making sure that we have the ability to be open in those conversations, both with you, like you mentioned, being able to say how you may have upset them in a day, and being able to, like, having that vulnerability to say, hey, I am no perfect soul. Like, let's have a conversation where I can improve, and let's have a conversation where you can improve, and let's have a conversation where we can improve together and make these things happen. And having to represent that is huge. And I think that it's almost better to have heard it the way you. And I don't know. Let me hear your thoughts on this. It's almost better to have heard it the way you did, where it was just the two of them talking, as opposed to somebody telling you that. That way you could hear the openness and honestness of that conversation. Do you feel like it would have been better if they had just approached you and said, hey, like, the way you're communicating does this? Or do you think it hit you a little bit differently because you overheard the two of them talking?
It definitely hit me differently because I was in a phase where, in my leadership and everything that I've been working on around the humans that I was with, was to listen more, right, and not give out I was learning that, when I would share my opinion first with people, because I carry myself as confident when I talk. People think he wouldn't be talking if he didn't know what he was talking about, right? And so no one would combat anything that I would say. So I was in this phase of, like, really trying to push with everybody who was around me to share their opinions with me first before I would share mine. So seeing that wasn't resonating inside of my family as well, that was like, oh man, like, this is where it needs to work here more than it needs to work in the workplace, right?
Yeah, more than anywhere. Yeah.
this is, like, this is it. Like, these are the people I want to trust me more than anything. These are the people that I want to be happy to see me and not be like, oh, I don't want to be the dad that's like calls on the phone and looks at the phone and be like, oh, I don't want to talk to my dad right
now. Yeah. That's powerful to hear. What when you got done hearing that and realizing like, man, it's not resonating the same way that I'm trying to get it to resonate at work. What were the steps you took, and how did you kind of combat that with your family to make sure that they got that feeling that they need to approach you on those things?
It was through my daily reflection and then sharing with them that, hey, I know I did this today, and I know I did this, and I know I did this today, and I apologize. I'm trying to be better at it. I realize I did that. I will not do it. And then by just consistently doing that, then they started saying it to me first. Or we'd catch ourselves in the middle of the day when we were doing it. And that practice has led me to minimal triggers. Like, I think I've triggered on my daughter twice this year, which is like, it could have been a daily thing in the past. Yeah. Right? Like, my wife is very minimal. I mean, I think I've triggered on my wife once this year, where I've had like a outbreak on her.
Nice.
Yeah. But combination of the meditation, all the different other things that you do to practice the slow and have that stimulus and response there. But knowing that you're going to be held accountable and knowing that you've allowed that space for the people around you to hold you accountable makes you, for me, it's made me make a lot better decisions with how I react to things.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Me personally, I'm still struggling a little bit. I don't think I'm as approachable probably with my kids as I would like to be. Like, I don't know if they would say that. I don't know if they would say that at all. Like, if I brought Adam in here now, I think he would probably say I'm approachable, but I just don't feel like I am as approachable as I'd like to be, because I want to be that just no matter what, I don't ever fly off the handle. I don't ever, have those issues. And maybe it's a naive or pipe dream, a naive mindset or a pipe dream to think that that I'm never going to go off the handle or anything like that. But, I think that instilling that practice to be able to communicate with each other and have that understanding with each other and be able to push through anything going on with each other is, I would imagine a rather life-changing experience for the family. What is your, now that that's happening and you guys are now to a monthly instead of a daily, a conversation about that, has it, is it because you guys are so comfortable now just kind of saying something in the moment, or is it because, is that why it went to a monthly? I'll just, instead of leading, I'll just shut up and let you answer the question.
As well as we don't do it to each other anymore.
Yeah.
We're conscious of it. We don't put ourselves in these situations where we're reacting to each other. We've learned through this.
Nice.
What are these things that trigger each other, and we don't put ourselves in these situations.
Nice. So, what kind of work have you had your daughter do that to, you'd mentioned that you had to do some steps yourself to kind of work through your own things, and I think it was in the pre-call you and I were chatting about, it's around that 8-year-old range that we start to realize the things that we did that they're showing that mirror to us of like, hey, this is you screwed this part of me up. What have you had to do? What kind of conversations have you had to help her understand? Like legitimate conversations about like hey, these are the types of things that you're doing because of whatever reason, and these are how have you had those conversations to help her grow her mindset? Because obviously she's 11, right? So we're not, 11. So it's not like we're trying to break down these massive walls that have been happening for years and years, but yet we would like to prevent the walls from going up. So besides just being vulnerable with each other in that sense, like some real practical, this is what we're doing, this is the kind of conversation I've had with her. It sounds like, you are in a really good spot by the sounds of things, with your own mental well-being as far as where you were to where you are now. So I'd love to hear kind of the building blocks for your daughter.
Yeah, really being patient and watching her. Like, we started homeschool a couple of years ago. That was a big shift, and she wanted to do it. So we've learned a lot about the discipline of what it takes. And I've been very adamant that it's her responsibility. right? This is her business. This is her ownership. This is her learning opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to support you, right? So we've seen cheating, we've seen lying, we've seen all these different little things that have happened, and me being able to be there and be like, it's okay. Why did you cheat? Because you were afraid that you were going to get in trouble for me? No. You created that. I didn't create it. I didn't create that. That's something you're putting in your own head. I've never, ever punished you or got upset with you because you didn't succeed at something. The only times I ever punish you is when you lie to me. That's it.
Yeah.
That's our number one value, is that we're going to trust and we're not going to lie to each other. Because the last thing I want to do is be sitting in a house with people that I love and they're lying to my face. You want to trigger me to the next level? That's the biggest trigger. That's the hardest thing for me to overcome, is that when I have someone that loves me, that's my family right there next to me, they'll look me dead in the eye and lie to me like I'm stupid. That's like, that's something that gets me right up, like how to not lose it on that one. I'm
so much of that, and that's usually the one that's going to make it happen for me.
And what I've done is
the most recent one.
My new punishment things that I've been doing. I think it was from the Daily Dad, but it was like, instead of punishing her with verbal, it's, you know what? Let's see how many push-ups you can do. You're just going to do push-ups, and we're just going to keep doing push-ups, and you're just going to keep doing push-ups, and we should do some jumping jacks too. And let's just sit here and you're sweating and crying and just thinking about, like, let's get something out of this, right? Let's at least get some health benefits out of this punishment that you're going to get. We're going to wear you out through exercise, and you're going to learn a lesson right now as well.
Yeah, the emotional scars take a little while to heal, but you know what? After push-ups, your chest may hurt tomorrow, but you're going to feel better. It's going to be good. It's not going to be bad, and hopefully you stop lying to me, right? And you'll remember all those push-ups and crunches that you had to do. But yeah, to me, like the lying is the one thing that I really struggle with, and I've been trying to contemplate like how I may have set the stage to make it like. To make it so that you felt like you had to lie because it was better than the alternative, right? And I don't know. I mean, I think that. So I'm a Christian. I think that we all, from my perspective, we all are. We're all born sinners. We're all going to be making mistakes. We're all going to be, doing the wrong things, right? So now it's one of those. Okay, well, I know that that's already in your nature, but I need to be able to figure out how we can prevent our nature from coming out that awfully much, right? So what am I doing that is causing you to need to do that? And I'm wondering, have you had any of that self-reflection, or can you help me personally on trying to figure out, like, is that something I should continue to dig into, or do you think there's a better route for me to take?
I don't. It's usually what I've found. It's one moment that they're holding on to that they might not be able to express to you at the age they're at right now. Right? But there's one incident that's created this fear that makes them think that lying is going to avoid that, being back in that space where they didn't feel like you cared and loved for them and wanted them to be there. Right? And it could be the silliest, like you won't even, like, it could be the silliest thing, but it's just like ingrained in their head. This image is ingrained in their head. Right? And as they get a little bit older, you'll see with your boy between this like 8 and 11, these are when you'll dig it out of him, right? You'll dig it out of him if you just keep having the conversation, you just keep reminding him, I love you, I trust you. The last thing I'm ever going to do is punishing you for telling me the truth. I mean, I've had to have conversations with my daughter. I said, look it, baby, if you go and drive over someone and kill them in the car and you run away, you come to me and you are going to figure out how to not get in trouble. I'm your guy, right? Like there's no one else. Like to that extreme, like I'm your guy. I'm going to help you get out of anything possible that's going to go on in this world. There's no one else that's going to be there for you like I'm going to be there for you. Right? So don't ever put me in a situation where I don't know what's really going on. Don't ever put me in that situation, because I'm not going to be able to help you. And there's no one on this planet that's going to go to bat to help you like I am or your mother's going to. and just continue. It's just a continual thing. You just got to keep, and then showing them that you're truthful, you're real about it, right? Not reacting because they got a bad grade, not reacting because, they didn't win a game, right? Over stupid, you know what I mean? Like, you're reacting, you didn't put in the effort. Let's talk about the effort that you put into this, right? Let's talk about, didn't you tell me you studied all night last night? Well, you didn't, right? I can see here on your screen that you were watching Netflix. So what's really going on? It's as long as I think as long as you're consistent over time, like, you'll go through these waves as they grow. And ultimately for me, like, it's all about, before these teenage years, make sure I lock in this trust.
Yeah. Well, that makes perfect sense. It's, I've tried now, I've been doing for the last quite a while now, I suppose, is, speaking to my son, come on in, buddy. With a smile on his face because he knows he's interrupting a podcast. What's up, dude? Yeah. So one thing I've been trying to do with this one, especially as he's the oldest one, of course he's going to steal a headphone and put it in and try to listen.
Yeah, you got to hear what's going on.
As I've been having conversations with him, it's like, hey, what? It is very tempting to lie, because at one point you've probably done it and got away with it, and it felt good because, man, I was able to get away with it. But now you have to realize that whether I would much rather you tell me the truth. Getting a little, like, we'll have to have a conversation about what you did wrong, but you're not going to be in trouble. But we're going to have a conversation about what you did wrong. I'd much rather do that than have you lie to me, and now you're in trouble for lying to me. Like, let's get through it. Let's have a conversation. There's still going to be times, and I know this kid right here is going to lie to me again. But you darn well better not.
I'm going to try.
Yeah, you're darn right. You're going to try not to. But I know there's going to be times where he's. But hey, what?
I always say, like, our big phrase lately has been, he is watching.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Even if I don't see it happen, God sure knows. Yeah.
He is watching always. So don't think you're hiding, or you're winning somewhere. You're never winning when you're sinning, ultimately. Like, he's watching you no matter what's going on, even if you think you're getting away from it in the short term. Right? And it's hard because, like,
that rhymes. It's got to be true. You're never winning when you're sinning.
I was allowed to sin and encouraged to sin as a kid, right? It was like I got away with things, and I mean, my parents would even justify things that I was doing and saying it was okay, and and it's like you start thinking that it's okay, like it's better to fail than to cheat and lie in the long term.
Yeah, completely agreed. It's despite the fact that it never feels good to fail, but it also, from time to time it'll feel good to lie, but it always catches back up to you. Some way, shape, or form is going to catch back up to you, even if it's, even if it's after we die and we got to go to the pearly gates and chat. Like, it's going to catch up to us one way, shape, or form. But it's and it's tough because even, there are times where even as adults, we can catch ourselves going, hey, it's going to be so much easier to just lie about this one thing than it is to deal with whatever. And it's never going to be a big deal. It's all, we're going to pass right by it, and I'm never going to see this person again, or I'm never going to do, whatever. And it's so easy to try to justify in our brain.
Well, I mean, I'm getting up tomorrow at 6:00 when you've never done it. You're lying to yourself. Right? We lie to ourselves every single day about something we're going to do or how we're going to do it, right? Like, and there's no benefit for us to lie. But we justify on our lack of awareness of what we're doing, and it's the other person's fault or this, and all these uncontrollables that we put it on, right? It's tough. I mean, that's where I'm hoping with the things that I've learned now and learned with my daughter over these last 12 years, the more I can pour into her and make her really understand that this is the key to all of it. This mental game, this thing inside here is not reality. This is just a story. This is just whatever you want to create inside your own mind. Like, the more you can pour into that, like, that's something that we were not being taught as children. And we're still not teaching our children that. right, in school, that
For
this thing right here is the controller of all of your happiness.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Did you catch that?
zero. Everything else is it's false. It's some sort of image or something that's been created in the world that makes you believe that you should be sad or you should be this or angry and all that. It's all this old images that created this for you. When you can let go of all that and just know that I'm breathing and I'm alive and I'm a son of God, like, come on.
Mm-hmm. The stories we create in our heads are some of the strongest ones, and we do it all the time. Adam and I have chatted about that multiple times about, what we're telling ourselves is true versus what's actually true. What you think Dad is going to be upset about versus what I'm actually upset about. Again, we go right back to it. Like, lying is going to make me very angry. How upset does Daddy get when you lie? Really upset, huh? Yeah. Mr. Lisle was just talking about the same thing. That's one thing he can't handle.
Have you had to write down 1,000 times? I will not lie. I will not lie. I will not lie. Have you done that one yet?
Have I made you do that before?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he has. Yeah, once. Only once. I don't remember how many times, but it was like, I will not lie.
50 times.
It was only 50 times? Yeah. Yeah, he's only had to do it once at the moment. Will we ever have to do it again?
No.
Hopefully not. No, hopefully not. No, it ain't happening, young man. Ain't happening, young man. But,
yeah, my daughter's taking daughter's taking some pre-tests today for her placement tests in the new school that she's at online, and she's like, it's English and math, the subjects I'm not good at. I'm like, sweetie, you're 11 years old. There's nothing you're not good at, right?
Yeah.
Might not be as easy for you, but I said, these tests, as we always talk about in all school is a game. How do we play the game?
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is just a game. You're going to go in there with a clear mind. You're going to do the answers that you know how to do as fast as you can. And then you go back and spend time on the ones that you don't know. And anything that has a multiple choice that you don't know, guess what? Scribble off the 2 that are non-negotiable, that aren't right. And then 1 or 2 are always the 2 you have to choose from. You're going to have a 50-50 chance. You're going to be all right.
That's the same thing we used to tell people in the military tests. Yep. Like, 2 of them are going to be automatically wrong. You know it's going to happen. But the other 2, you're going to have to fight between. And if you don't know, at least you have a 50-50 chance instead of a 25% chance. So it's the way it goes. I don't remember. Yeah.
School's a hard one with kids, right? Like, because it's not training. To me, traditional school is not training our kids the way I want my kid to grow up.
Yeah.
But it's a necessary game, right? If you want, like my daughter's right now wants to play college sports. Like, you don't pass the SAT, you don't have good grades, you don't get to play college sports.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
So you're going to go hand in hand. So you got to play the game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Mr. Lisle here likes to play golf. He's a big fan of playing golf. Yeah. Are you a big fan of golf too? Yeah. This one loves to play golf. Adam is a big fan of golf. But,
who's your favorite golfer?
What's your favorite part about golf, bud? Oh, he doesn't watch much golf, but maybe he'll be able to answer that. Who's your favorite golfer? Besides your dad, of course.
I don't know.
You don't know? No.
Do you like to putt?
No,
do you like to drive? Do you like to chip? What's your favorite part of the game?
Ooh. Well, what's your favorite part? Drive, chip, putt?
Probably driving.
Yeah, definitely driving. So he's a big fan of driving the ball and showing everybody how far he can drive. So he did a drive, chip, and putt competition this year for the first time, and he took first place in the drive for his age group, which was awesome to watch.
Nice.
So he was crushing the drive right down the middle. So.
I got to go to the Masters this year.
Well, we're going to end this recording. You didn't invite me, so now we're going to end the recording. Yeah, we're done. We're done. Now, that would have been awesome. How did you win the lottery thing, or did you just go buy tickets from somebody? He is going to get me in there one day, huh, bud? You going to get me into the Masters?
He's going to get you in there. I had a friend of mine whose daughter got last year. He got to walk the course with her. She qualified and got to do it all.
Nice.
so cool. Like, so cool.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, my daughter chose
I would
not
love
to
be
play
able to
golf.
go to Masters.
I tried everything I possibly could to have her play golf. And very similar personality that we were talking about earlier. My sister, which I've had to understand, like she got traumatized when she went to my house at home and saw my trophy wall and all these accolades and all these different things that I've won over the years. So it's like, I can never do that. Like she doesn't, it's her programming in her head to see that your dad fails a whole lot of times to be able to win all those things, right? Like it's not just, they don't just come, right? It's a lot of failure, a lot of work, a lot of practice, a lot of things. And so she avoided golf because she's seen all my golf trophies and didn't want to have to be there. She plays soccer because I never played soccer. It's truly why she plays.
That might be why this one plays golf, because he's like, well, I'll be able to beat my dad soon, so I might as well play, right? Yeah. I know how you're thinking. Yeah, I just played golf the other day.
I love making 20-foot putts, man. There's nothing better than making a nice long putt that counts as a 300-yard drive.
Yep. Or a solid chip in. Man, I had a chip in from the sand. I got a sandy birdie the other day. A chip in from the sand was up in Pennsylvania. Well, it's New Jersey where we golf, but I had a solid chip in birdie out of the sand. It felt so daggum good. It was awesome. So, and that same 9, I had about, 20, 30 foot putt for birdie. And I was like, golly, my back 9, I was on fire. My front 9, I shot a 48, which was dreadful. And then on my back 9, I parred the back 9. I shot a 36 on the back. I was like, what happened to my front 9? Why did I play so poorly?
That's
no kidding. I'm already doing bad. I might as well just go.
I'm constantly telling everyone,
ridiculous.
I'm constantly telling everyone, like, it's so comparable to life with golf and truly the outcome. Like, if you focus on the outcome in golf, just like if you focus on the outcome in life, like, you're gonna be miserable. You're gonna be absolutely miserable because you can get up every single day and do the right things, and not what you perceive is supposed to happen will happen. Like, I'll go out and hit the ball in the middle of the club face, hit 16 greens in regulations, and shoot a 78 because I 3-putted the whole thing. Like, and get lips out. Yeah. And then the next day, not hit 4 greens and shoot a 75, and felt like I hit the ball like crud all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's golf is such a, it's, you almost want to say humiliating, but humbling experience that can to really bring it. So there's a really good buddy of mine, Camille. He was up there at the same trip that I was at, and he was like, "Yeah, man, golf is one of those." He's like, "I've always been good at everything in my life, and golf was one of those things that I just was not good at. So I just stopped because I didn't want to ruin my streak." He's like, "But now I'm just deciding, you know what? It is what it is. I could try to get better at it. I'll see what I could do." But now he just goes out and has fun with it, as opposed to making it like everything else in life as a competition and trying to beat everything. But golf, to me, like you said, is very analogous to life itself, because you could feel like you're doing the right things. You could feel like you got your swing down, and then all of a sudden life's going to come across and smack you across the face, and you're going to miss something. Like, something's going to happen. You're not going to hit well. You're going to hit a tree root that you weren't expecting. There's going to be a power line going across the 14th fairway, and you didn't like it. And you just never would have thought you'd hit it, or something is going to happen, and you're going to just be upset about it. But it's part of life just as much as part of golf, right, Bunny? Mm-hmm. Are you listening to anything I'm saying, or are you just nodding along? You're just nodding along. He's just nodding along. He's not even listening.
We call that down here, we call that the iguana way. Because iguanas you ever seen an iguana? Iguana is just nodding his head all the time. Uh-huh. That's the iguana way. That's the way. Especially when you're in Costa Rica and you're speaking English to everyone, and they don't really understand you, but they just CCC you the whole time.
CC. Yep.
CC. Like, you don't understand anything that's coming out of my mouth.
See. All right, you gonna go do some homework or what? You just gonna sit in here and sit on my lap and chat, or not listen, I should say. Go do your homework, buddy. Give me my headphone back, you little punk.
Sit here and not listen.
You're gonna sit here and not listen? I don't think so. Go do your homework. You got lots of reading to do. I love you, buddy. See, I'm going to have to beat this kid up now. Man, oh man. Go. This is the problem with kids. I tell you what, this is the problem with kids. They come and ruin your podcast. Yeah, they come and ruin your podcast. They forget that daddy knows things. Yeah, is my hand sweaty? Yeah. What do you know? Get out of here. Okay. Get out of here, you punk. See, this is, man, why did I choose to homeschool? What the heck was I thinking? Go. Get out of here. Man, oh man. For those of you just listening, you should have totally been in here as my son is trying to steal my headphones out of my head. Rascal. But no, I love being able to have him be able to, and I think I told you before we started recording, having him just kind of come in and say hello to me once in a while breaks up my day. And one thing I don't think I did tell you on our pre-call was like when I was in the military, I was traveling a lot for various different things. And one day Adam came running up to me. It was before we even had our second kid, and he came running up to me crying, "Daddy, don't leave again," when I was in the middle of all my travels. And I was literally just going to take the trash out. And to me, that was always that's a story that I love to be able to tell to folks who think that they're doing the right things, that think that the travel they're doing or the business that they're doing is the right thing, the right decision. Like, no, I'm doing this for my family. I was earning a decent paycheck. I was traveling around the world. I was, doing good for the world, quote unquote. Which, boy, let's not travel down that road. That'll be an interesting conversation if I talk about the doing good for the world with everything I've done in my life, right? So, and now it's like, okay, what if I'm really doing stuff for my family? And it was Ryan Pineda I heard recently talking about it too. He's like, a bunch of business owners, like they're out there doing the same thing. Like they're burning the midnight oil. They're constantly working. They're working 14, 15 hours a day for their family, quote unquote. Right? Like if you never see your family, are you really doing it for your family? Like, what's the point? So now I just try to take advantage of the fact that they come in the house, and that's one of the reasons I started homeschooling as well. Is like you come into my office, I want to be able to teach you, I want to be able to support you, I want to be able to do, like you were saying, I want, like, the school system is not teaching him the way I want to teach him. He's working, quote unquote, 45-hour weeks for school. Like, when is he a kid if he's working 45 hours a week for school? Like, I don't understand. Like, and now I've got him working, 3 hours a day. And he's getting a good education. He's understanding where he's at. He was able to go on the trip to Philadelphia with me. He was able to go travel places with me. Like, it just doesn't. I want to be able to take advantage of every one of those moments. So that's one thing that I've told a couple people after the podcast, because I like to always ask like what I could do better on the podcast. And one of the things I told somebody is like, maybe less interruptions, because my last podcast recording, they came in a lot. It's like maybe I should just get them to come in less often. And the guy was like, I would never tell you to stop doing that. Like that's part of why you're doing what you're doing. And it's, I absolutely love it. And now he's just standing here staring at me. Exactly. I do business as a dad here at the house. So it's, it's part of the process. But yeah, to go back to the golf thing.
Lincoln about they said, because I wrote something today about what money can't buy, right? And they were like, well, what if you're an entrepreneur and you're able to invest in someone to help you get to something faster, right? For your income or whatever you're going to create. So now you're not working as many hours versus entrepreneur B that needs to put in all these extra hours. And I'm like, well, entrepreneur B doesn't really truly have his values aligned with, if he truly wants to be with his family and spend time with them, there's no amount of money that you're going to go chase to go be with your family. You have false values. Yeah. You're lying to yourself. Like saying that family is important to you when you're not truly making the decisions every day in your calendar and your bank account that has to relate to families. Then come on, like your values aren't aligned. You're missing, right?
Yeah, when I first started getting in the business side of the house, I created all these goal sheets of where I wanted to be, and I back built how many doors I needed to be able to get the amount of income that I wanted, to be able to build this life that I wanted. Never once talked to my wife about what this life was going to be like. It was just a life that I created based off of what I always felt like I was missing in my life, or what I felt like was going to be the thing. And then, I'm talking to my wife, and like, none of that meant anything to her. Like, it was just like, I wasn't trying to build anything with her. I was trying to build what I thought was going to make sense. And then even then we started having kids, I had to really scrap it all. Like it didn't matter, how many millions I'd make. It mattered how many times I was able to bring the kids on a trip, or how many times I was able to tuck them in at night, or how many how many times my shoulder was there for them to cry on. Those were the things that I should be having on that list, and they never were. And they're still, I mean, technically, right? They're still not, but they're always in my brain now on how well I'm able to be present with my kids and where I'm at with that. Because to me, it's so much more important. Again, I don't want to act like they're important. I want to show them that they're important. I want them to know that they're important to me. And having those values aligned, yes, you may not, reach the financial stature that you wanted to. You may not, there's a guy that I know that he was passing on some very sage wisdom. He's worth a few $100 million. And he was passing on some advice to us about growing up with your families and doing the things, and how it did not go as smoothly with his kids as he wanted them to, because he was so busy chasing everything, thinking he needed to do this and needed to excel in that and needed to grow his net worth by this and needed to build that. And he lost a lot of the time with his family that he fully regrets now, and and he was one of those guys that, again, if you had to do it all over again, he said that he would definitely change a lot. He would not chase nearly the amount that he was chasing. He's like, yeah, sure, it's great to have now, but at what expense, And those types of conversations were the kind that slap me in the face and go, you know what? Like, fix yourself, fix your thought process on this. I'd rather live in a 2,000 square foot house with my family than live in a 5,000 square foot condo with nobody around.
And I know for me in my life, it's easier for me to go work.
Yeah.
That's the easy thing for me. Like, that's the place that I excel in. Like, that's the easy place. Like, for me to go show empathy and be self-aware with my daughter, with my wife, to listen and not tell them what to do, all these things, like, where I have to be vulnerable, and, those are all difficult things for me to do. Right? Those are not like I told you at the beginning of the podcast, like I ran on, like, I don't care about anybody in the world. Right? So I've had to and that's easy for me to go do. Like, going and blaming everybody else for everything that bad happens in your life, and just running across the world, just chasing money and fame and whatever, greed, all these different things. Those are a lot easier to deal with. Not having to accept who you are as a human is a lot easier to handle, right? And that's why we go and do it, right? And then we justify it and say we're doing it so we can give our family more. And I know my wife, I have a wife that grew up on dirt floors, with no running water, right? So her whole life was like, just, do we have food and a roof over our head? So that's a mentality we have with each other. It's like, we have food and a roof over our head, man. We are so winning and blessed every single day. Like, let's not go outside of that, right? Like, don't go buy another car. Don't add more debt to our life. Don't do any of these things that are going to create it so that we have to be not with each other as much on a daily basis, so that we can have a bigger house or, go on more vacations. I'm like, I live in Costa Rica. I don't ever need to go on vacation again, personally. I'm totally cool with going to the beach here, playing golf here, and staying in a Marriott every once in a while around the corner.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that is where a lot of people go to vacations, and then you just get to live there and enjoy it. So, the material things. I still definitely have some things on my list of things I'd like to buy, but it's I'm doing everything I can, and maybe I'm just making this up myself, to give myself a reason why I should want these things. But I really I have a very strong goal that is going to succeed at, is buying my airplane. I was going to buy it last year, and then we ended up moving to Florida and buying a house and doing the thing. So that shifted, and then I was going to get it this year, and some real estate stuff, and blah, blah, blah. I'm coming up with excuses and why I haven't bought it yet. But I'm going to buy an airplane. Is that a material thing? For sure. Is that a thing that I put on my list before I had a conversation with my wife? Absolutely. But but I'm a pilot. I love to be able to travel with my family. It's like, all right, well, I just put you guys in the plane and let's go fly somewhere. Let's go enjoy our life. Like, to me, it's a tool to go enjoy life together. But finding that balance between what I'm doing that is what I'm justifying myself as a reason why I should get it versus like the actual reasons to get it. The same thing to like, why am I working all these hours? Is to support my family. Well, I think you're supporting your family much more by being there than you are by working all those hours. Am I succeeding in the goals? Am I just making up a reason why I want this material thing versus actually, is that actually why you want this material thing? Or is it because you were never able to have that when you were younger, or whatever the reason might be that I make up for myself? I don't know, but I'll pause for conversation on that for a minute.
No, yeah. I mean, I think as long as it's not going to make you have to go work more and lose the balance of the time that you have, then why not? Right. But if it's going to alter the lifestyle that you want to live and create, and that you've already created for yourself, where you have this freedom to homeschool your kids and be there with them and go on date nights with your wife, all these things, like if it's going to alter any of that because, oh, well, now I have to go push a little bit harder, then to me, that's where I say it's the no, right? That's where I just eliminate any material type thing. It's like, if it's going to, any jobs that I take, any consulting gigs that I take, anything, if it's going to be a burden on me that's going to alter, like I'll lose money for a little while before I go take on that thing that's going to alter my health, alter these non-negotiables that I've created in my life, the time I'm putting into my community, the time I have with my family, like these core rocks that they're all first before the money stuff is, right? The earning of income, I've gotten to a point personally where it's just, I don't have a lot of expenses, right? I don't have debt. So it doesn't take me a lot to produce the amount of income that I want. And if I'm going negative for a while, it's not going to kill it. I got some years I can go negative, right? I live that way. Like I got time. So it removes that stress of having to just take anything that comes on. So that's, for me, that's why I don't even have a car. You know what I mean? I ride around on a bike and walk, force myself to just like stay out of the vehicle. Right?
Man, that's awesome.
But yeah, that's the way I would approach it. I mean, if you can afford it and it's not going to make you have to alter, those things that you truly value and that you appreciate in your life, and you understanding that. I mean, with 3 young kids, man, you only got 18 years with them, really, and they're out of the house, right? Yeah. Like, 18 summers, all these different things, right? You start doing the math. Like, I did something with my mom. I forget, like 40 something more, visits I'm going to have with her. Maybe she comes and visits me twice a year. It's not a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure. And that, I mean, the 18 summers thing is yet another reason why I decided to homeschool. It was like, I don't get that time back. Like, I mean, if he's working, if now all of them are working 45 hours a week for school and I'm working, 50, 60 hours a week, when do we get to actually be together besides maybe dinner, unless there's a sporting event going on that, you're eating, a sandwich in the car on the drive to the golf course, and, I'm, not eating at all tonight because I had to bring you there, and then I had to go over here and do this, and then I had to get on a phone call for that. And it's like, man, oh man, like when do we actually get those 18 summers, because it's not like my wife doesn't work during the summer. It's not like I could take the full summer off. I mean, I'm still running businesses and doing the thing. So, I love the non-negotiables in life. And that's one of those things, like we started implementing EOS inside of our company and telling people, like, we have core values for the company, like, and we hire and fire based off of those core values. Like, if you don't meet our core values, then you can't be in the company. Like, you got to be in line with the core values. And then I've been telling recently I've been having a conversation with myself, like, hey, I need to sit down with my wife and we need to come up with solid core values for our family. Like, we've had some like loose core values for the family, but I want some like solid core values for the family. And then we make decisions on what we do based off of those core values. Will this meet our non-negotiables in life? Because our core values are going to be the non-negotiables. Will buying this airplane help that? Will taking this trip to Philadelphia help that? Will homeschooling help that? Will whatever, insert decision for the family here. Will it help with media? Like, will we be in line with our non-negotiables, with our core values as a family? Will we be getting closer to that life that we want to live by making this decision, as opposed to not, right? So I love the way you said that about the non-negotiables.
Yeah, I started, my wife and I, about, I think it's 3 years. This will be year 4. We started doing, we take the weekend and we do this workbook. It's a couples retreat where we talk about all of our goals and our values and plan out our year. And then we do a quarterly and a mid-year reevaluation of it. It's through The One Thing. Have you heard of Gary Keller's The One Thing?
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, so through there, we were doing that couples retreat. Man, it's been a game changer for us. Like, I keep it at home. I mean, I even had to call my wife out last week because we're working on this girls soccer organization, and I'm really fully into it. And she kind of fell off the last month and a half, and because she wasn't happy with the coach, and she gets into these. She doesn't like someone. It's like, shuts off, and I had to remind her, like, baby, we sat here and agreed we're going here, legacy, this stuff, way over here. This is just a human in the middle of it. We cannot allow a human in the middle of this. Any stop with me and you have decided that we're going here that's bigger than no one else can even see. No one else has any idea what our long-term, what legacy, what we're trying to leave here, and why we're trying to make this impact on these girls and what we're doing, right? And I need you to be there, because if you're not with me, then I'm by myself and now I'm alone.
Yeah,
and that that's a trigger for me when I feel lonely. Like, I start getting upset, and I don't want to feel lonely in my house. Right? It was a very vulnerable conversation.
I bet. Yeah. One of the keys, I think, that you just said there was the fact that you guys made those decisions together, which completely contrasts what I had said earlier about where I was trying to create this vision, and it was all about what I wanted as a vision and all these things that I wanted, and my wife had no clue about. So I think that makes the conversation so much easier when you guys have done it together and there's buy-in from both sides. Did you include your daughter in that conversation as well, or is that not at her level yet?
No, she knows big goals that we're working on as a family. She knows my core values, and she knows what her strengths are. Like, we did Strength Finder with her, so she understands what her strengths are, and we're always trying to remind her of like who she is and why she should be being her authentic self and not hiding. And she still has a lot of fears with that. She does no social media, no YouTube, none of that kind of stuff, which she knows she can do it as soon as she becomes a creator.
Yeah.
Right. So she's going through that now. Like, she's taking a digital photography class right now because she wants to be in it, but she knows I'm not letting her in it unless she's a creator. Like, you're not going to be a consumer. Yeah. Like, I'm not allowing you to go into this and be a consumer and just feed off the dopamine of it. Right. Like, you need to be a creator of it, and I'll do it with you. Let's have fun with it. Right. Yeah. Like, let's, this can be a great, social media can be an awesome thing if you use it the right way. Right. It can be a great place to explore yourself, to become, to truly identify your authentic self, create a tribe around your people. Like, there's a lot of really cool stuff that can be done with the internet nowadays if you utilize it right and don't use it as a drug.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're not using it, it will certainly use you, and it will abuse you and tear you down and break you apart and do all sorts of stuff that it does constantly. So I love that concept, though, of not allowing her to be on it unless she's the creator on it. And I think that's really solid. I've been trying to convince Adam to do a YouTube channel. Like, I want to build him a YouTube channel around kids golf, because I think it'd be a lot of fun to do. It's something he loves to do, and he's good at it. So it's fun to watch, and I'm sure other people would like to do it, to watch him and, see how much he grows and all the fun stuff. And that way, when he's in the Masters later on in life, he'll have a whole YouTube channel by then, so lots of followers, be crushing at the Masters. So, but You mentioned Strength Finder. What is Strength Finder, and what you said that you had your daughter do that? Well, tell me what that is.
That is Gallup.
Okay.
They have one for kids as well. I've been a big component of that in my companies and everything that I've ran, by all the people that are around me, the different businesses I have. It's part of hiring process that I've used for years too. I learned that probably about 10 years ago. I got introduced to it. And before that, it was always work on your weaknesses, work on your weaknesses, work on your weaknesses. And when I started learning that, let's work on my strengths and surround myself with people that can support my weaknesses, right? Let me be the race car driver. I'm the race car driver. Yeah, I know how to change the tires. Yeah, I know how to do the spark plug. Yeah, I know how to do all that kind of stuff, but I don't like it. And there's someone else that really loves doing that. So why not find that person that loves doing that and putting them in that position, right? And using the Strength Finder as a tool, especially with hiring for me, was so powerful because I would always hire me, right? What I liked versus what was going to complement me, right? So then I have a wheel that shows the 4 different categories now, right? With the people that are around me. And if I need someone in this business that has to do an executor, right? That's part of the process before I even interview them, right? I'm investing in, resume, getting some basic questions out of them, and then investing in a Gallup. They need to pass that, fit into that. I need to be clear that they're the executor that I want to be there before I even sit down and interview. Between that and Enneagrams, those 2 things, the last team I built, sales team, I literally had all 9 Enneagrams on my team. It was part of the experiment I was doing. And I hired 80% of them were non-sales people. They were great relationship people and had great networks and trust within their communities. Right. And so I trained them and developed them all on a relationship-based sales versus a transactional-based sales. Man. Yeah. Just dominated. Right. Everybody was looking at me in the company like, you're nuts. That's you can't hire that person. They've never done sales. I'm like, don't worry. Yeah. They got a circle of influence. This is who they are. Watch. This thing's going to work. And
that's awesome.
And getting those different personality types and then meeting with everyone and letting everyone understand, hey, this is who this person is. This is how they work. And these are their strengths and these are their weaknesses. And that's why they respond to you this way. This is why you like this person, because you guys are both 8s and you're both this. And then really having those open conversations with people, that's how you build a real solid team that's fun to work with.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Yeah, it's I've heard so many different ways of building the teams, and I think that that's one thing that hiring wise I've heard from multiple people. So it's a good reminder of hiring somebody like you is probably not a great idea, right? Because we already have a you. We don't need another you. We need somebody who can do the things that you can't, right? And it's and that's one of those things too that I guess now I'm looking at it from this direction. My sons oftentimes want to be like me, right? Well, we already have a me. You don't need to be like me. You need to be like you. You need to figure out who you are and run around doing what you want to do. Just like my youngest son wants to be a lot like his big brother. Well, you already have him. We don't need another him. We need a you. I want the real you to show up in whatever you want to do. If you want to golf, then go for it. If you don't want to golf, then don't. What are your strengths? What are you excited about? What makes you really happy? But I've been a strong proponent for the last probably, 5-6 years, maybe more than that, on the work on your strengths and hire your weaknesses. And it's not always the easiest thing to do because, again, if it's my weakness, I also am still balancing the hiring up my weakness as well as making sure I'm not hiring somebody like myself. Those are how the heck am I supposed to know how to hire my weakness if it's already my weakness? What the heck am I supposed to do? I don't really know. It's a tough balance, but I think
that's
that having a system like you just said.
Tool.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why you use that tool.
Exactly.
Just to get me
fill
out
that gap.
Get me out.
Yeah, I think that's a super wise way of doing it. So tell me about your businesses, your sales teams, and all that type of stuff. Let's dig into that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I sold a company like 7 years ago, this vacation rental business, and then I ended up working with that company for 6.5, almost 7 years. January they let me go, so that's when I started the coaching and consulting business. So it's kind of new. It's something my wife has been telling me to do for years because it's something I do. Like I'm always coaching, I'm always consulting. So. And then now I have a tour and activity business. I have a website business, some photography. My newest one that I want to open up is a butchery. No one knows yet, but I'm going to open up an organic butchery here in town.
Nice.
So
yeah, that's awesome.
So my main thing with businesses now, it's like, I have a real estate project as well that I've been working on for the last 3 years. That's going to turn into have 150 acres. We're segregating land, building homes. I'm going through infrastructure and all that kind of stuff right now. A lot of government nonsense that I'm dealing with, which will be another source of income in the future. But my passion is small businesses locally. Really, is where I get the most juice from. Like I love helping someone new. Like my website company I started, this guy was working in a tour and activity place. He built their website for him. It was super nice. He's getting paid nothing there, right? He's doing the management and doing all this kind of stuff. I'm like, you like doing websites? He's like, man, I really love doing websites. I'm like, well, how much do you get paid? This is what I make. Okay. I said, I need a lot of websites made. How about I hire you full time for a year? And we start a website company together. And we're going to replace your income within a year with other people's websites. All my friends and different people will start building the business. 3 years later, the guy's making 4 times more than he's ever made. A percentage of all that money now goes into the girls' soccer organization, because that's what I like with these smaller little businesses that I do. Like I'll take a percentage of them. I'll consult. I might invest money, get a little bit, get my money back, and then want a percentage of it to go back to a nonprofit. And right now my nonprofit is girls soccer. So these little side businesses that I have are supporting the girls soccer. Then my coaching and consulting supports myself and my real estate transactions. That's where I'm making, the money to support my household. But like my goal is to continue just adding on a business or two every single year with someone locally within my community that then can then support back socially responsible by me just gifting. And, I invest $5,000, I invest $10,000 into the business, and then I invest time by mentoring and bringing them within my network. That's how I envision the rest of my life, like just continuing to help small businesses within my community, within my area that can, sustain without dealing with the middleman. Ultimately, that's like I went through this process of watching a company go public, and it's like the last thing I want to contribute to ever again in my life.
Oh yeah,
like ever.
What turned you away from that?
It ends. It all becomes paper. It all becomes a number. There's no heart. There's nothing. To me, entrepreneurship is about, you having something and a gift to be able to help other people, right? And building something with them. And when you go and it just turns into a spreadsheet and you can just ruin people's lives while you sit there and just fly around on your plane or do whatever you're going to do, and you don't adjust, right? Like I've never fired someone because of financial reasons, right? Like to make the company get in the black. Like it's my responsibility to make the company in the black. And if I have to not eat when I made the commitment to someone else that I was providing them a job, like it's my responsibility to continue to provide. Right. And once you get into this corporate world, it's like, oh, it's the quarter. It's false numbers. Oh, we just got to cut 17% of these people. And then we're going to hire some more people next week. Like that stuff is just, it's nonsense to me, man. It's so wrong. I mean, watching CEOs and COOs get $8 million as the company's losing money and they're firing housekeepers that make $600 a month. Like, get out of here, man. Like, I never want to be a part of anything like that. Like, I needed it. It was really cool for me to go through that process because I've never been in corporate America and doing that. But that is just makes zero sense to me. And I think so many people, like, they build these companies and then these big venture capitalist funds come in and take all this, heart and soul that someone put into building something, and they just strip it away.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All over money.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so depressing, man. It's just getting worse and worse, right? There's only a few companies that own everything now. So it's just even more important now to be small and local and community driven to me. Like, it's just, there's even just so much more value as we continue to grow to be sustainable in your community, not be dependent on the big corporate giants. Like, that is, to me, is the only way we're going to beat this and make it into the future. Like, if not, we're just going to be robots.
I think keeping that. No. Yeah, I think there's to me, it sounds like what you're saying is like they like, you have a why behind the businesses that you're doing. You have a why and you understand what that is and you're chasing it. And then too many people, and I think that we do this with our families, we do this with our businesses, that we forget why we're doing what we're doing. And we've kind of hit on that a few times in different angles throughout this conversation. But, when your why becomes the money, or if your why even started as the money, right? Like, that's not going to sustain you. You're not going to be keeping your personal values, if you've even have any at this point. You're going to be losing a lot of that. You're going to be losing your family. You're going to be losing your friends. You're going to be losing a lot of things if all the why is your money. And then even once you get the money, good luck. It's not going to be there anymore. Like, if the money sure may be there, but it's going to be like that friend I was talking about that, lost a lot along the way and almost lost his entire family because of him just doing nothing but chase the money, as opposed to, having a solid why. But I love that thought process on that. Just, I always want to be able to, whatever I'm doing, be able to give back in one way, shape, or form. And I don't know. I want to build that out to be a little bit stronger than it is at the moment. But at the same point, I already have it, but I just, I always want it to be on the forefront, as I'm not ever just doing it for the money, because I'm doing it for the money. That's the wrong reason for sure. So, yeah. But now it sounds like you've got a lot of really cool irons in the fire. Oh yeah, it is hard. Yeah, you're not wrong. But the consulting thing, what exactly are you consulting on? If somebody wanted to reach out to you and say, "Hey, I'd like to work on consulting," what is it that you would say you want them to do? Or that I'm strong. You do?
Yeah, I'm strongest. Pretty much, I've done every business industry there is. Like, when it comes to just business strategy, like high level, like you have a problem you think is a problem. Like, I walk in and show you that's not a problem, like, quickly. Like, I have some way of seeing things. I can see where something's going to go, and I know the next step that needs to be taken, right? I'm not good at putting all the steps together because I've never seen a plan go from point A to point B in a straight line in a business, right? There's a vision, a long-term one, and then there's the next step action that you take, right? And then it's a constant move to make sure that you're staying aligned going forward. Like, I'm really good at going, okay, I see where you want to go. This is the next move you need to make that change and start taking the step forward. Right?
Nice.
Then, so go to market sales. Like, I do sales in my sleep, like being able to, and doing it differently. Like, I'm not an activity salesperson, right? I'm a relationship-based salesperson. So the network that I've had over the last 26 years, like, there's pretty much not an industry that I'm not able to go and crack. Like, okay, who are the biggest players in there? How are we going to get into their players? And how are we going to touch to the decision makers so that we can start making transactions? Right? Like, I've done it with so many different industries. And then the coaching side of it for me is so very specific with the consulting. Like, right now I'm doing 2 consulting jobs. They're both local. They're both with companies here that are trying to cut out middlemen. One's in the tech space. They're both, and then the other one's offshore developers that are helping bring technical products to people in the U.S. and the companies in the U.S. using offshore developers at a discount that speak English. And
nice.
So I'm helping them grow their market by having someone that's trusted English-speaking American to be able to go approach clients in the U.S. And then when it comes to coaching, for me, I don't really like have an individual type of person. For me, it's anybody that's willing and wants to change and make a change in their life, like, and is ready to start to transform. Like, I've done it. Like, I've gone through some serious transformations, 180s a couple times, right? Like, so I can help you get to that. Just keep taking those next steps and simplify the situation, right? Most of my clients and friends and everybody that's in my life, like when they come to me because they know Lyle's not going to look at this as a problem. Like, I'm going to come to Lyle and Lyle's going to be like, yeah, well, why don't we do this or do that? Like, there's going to be no negativity about it. Nothing comes to me as a problem. Everything comes to me as a new experience in life that's happening to me. So let's go. And that's something I've been blessed with.
Awesome.
And just lucky. I've been lucky as a human. Like, I don't know where that came from. I don't know, but it's been something my whole life. I've just constantly, like, no matter how hard I got hit or knocked down, it's always just been, okay, what's the next move? What's the next move? And now I've learned how to, I've learned how to package that over the years. And, and I feel like I've been able to simplify that process. And when I work with people, we see results every single week. I mean, I had my guy this morning was bawling, crying, and we were just having a conversation.
Nice.
It's like,
and I mean, I love that it's the name, helping everyone achieve dreams. Like, Head is your last name, and you created the. I mean, I absolutely love that, and it's it's a, when you have that ability, if you're not using it, then you're wasting so much. I would imagine the fulfillment that you get from helping people get through those things is beyond exciting for you. You can hear it in your voice that it just is something that you're passionate about and you love doing. So I love talking to people who are chasing those types of things, and man, I'm a big fan of being able to work through that.
Really hard to charge for it. It was really hard to charge for it. Yeah. Right? It was really, because it was just such a foreign thing. I would imagine.
Yeah, when I was first looking at starting coaching, I was saying the same thing. I was like, I don't know if I don't even like. It was like, I just love talking about this stuff. I love being able to work through it. I don't understand like why I would even charge for it. It's just a good conversation, It's like this podcast. Like, I just like having good conversations with people. Like, I'm not expecting to make $1 million off of it. I just want to be able to, have a good conversation and help somebody, or it's great. Like, why the heck, And then I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he was like, "Oh no, like you totally still have to. Like, it's still something that you should still be charging, and people are going to be happy to pay for it, and you're going to be happy to do it. So it's a win-win across the board." And I still struggle with doing it, whether it's my financial coaching, whether it's, real estate coaching, whatever it is, I still, struggle a little bit charge it for it. But it's like, it's also one of those that people really seems to move the needle more when somebody pays for it rather than just has a conversation about it. So, but I don't, part of the process. But have you found that that's actually accurate, or do you think I'm just making something up right now as I'm chatting with you?
No, for sure. I mean, I still get more excited when it's a combination of coaching and consulting, where it's like, and there's some performance based involved in it as well, right? To where I'm like, hey, you're giving me a small retainer. There's a high upside for, the commission side of me, which likes that part of it, to then where, how do I get some ownership in your business if I can really take it to the next level as well? Like, that combination of all three of those is where I get like the most excited. And people are always like, you do all these different things. You have all these different businesses. I do the same thing in all of them. I show up, work through problems, right? Most of them are in here for all of us that I'm dealing with first, right? It's most of it's all personal. And then we work on one little business move to make for the next week, right? but most of it is getting it out of their head so that they want to come to work and show up every single day and be excited about what they're doing and getting back aligned to why they made the decision to do what they're doing. Like, that's the majority of what coaching is all about, right? Mentorship. It's talking people off the rails and bringing them back to like, okay, you're good. This is the one thing you need to do this week. Let's just keep making progress.
Yeah. That's awesome. Again, 1% better every day, right? As long as you're making progress in the business, you're making progress in yourself, you're going to succeed. Like, just keep on getting better, keep on working harder. But hey, Lisle, it was awesome chatting with you, Lisle. Before I start to wrap it up, is there anything you want to ask me? Any questions you have for me, or anything you'd like to add that we may have missed that you'd like to touch on?
Nah, I think it was. I think we touched lots of spectrums. I mean, it was a fun conversation. I'm looking forward to watching you with your children as you continue to grow. I mean, know you have someone to lean on. I have a couple of years ahead of you with the kid. I think we're on the same path when it comes to understanding the value of learning from our children, right? Like, that's, to me, has been, a lot of parents just miss out on that opportunity, right? They completely miss out on the opportunity of the growth and what you can learn from your children, right?
Sure.
You stay there and you be present and you accept the resistance that's in your life is not them, it's you. So grow from it.
I love that. Yeah. Learning from the kids has been, even if they're not trying to teach me, they're teaching me every day. So it's a lot of fun. But Lisle, I thank you so much for jumping on. I appreciate it. I'm glad that Stu connected us for sure. I look forward to continuing to hear more about what you got going on, chat with you further. If somebody wants to reach out to you, whether it's the coaching, whether it's consulting, whatever it is, what's the best way for somebody to get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn under my name, Lisle Head, or I have lilehead.com. So it's Lisle, Lisle, like an Isle, and then Head, HEAD.com.
Oh, awesome. All right, lilehead.com and then LinkedIn. We'll have that in the show notes. I'm, again, very thankful for you jumping on. I really appreciate it. It was a great conversation. I barely even touched about, how you want to get your kids into business, which is something I usually like to talk about. But man, we went on 74 other different tangents that were so much fun. So thank you again. I appreciate it. And maybe we'll have you on again to actually talk about involving kids in the business. So
I would love to. I do a lot of mentorship.
Thank you again. Enjoy yourself, everybody. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Sorry, completely interrupted you. I had a delay there. What was that?
No, that was just saying I would love to. I love talking about young kids and teaching them entrepreneurship, getting them involved.
Yeah.
So.
That's definitely a passion of mine now that I know what entrepreneurship is. Now it's before I had kids, I had no idea. Now I've got businesses and kids and the whole thing, so it's exciting. But thank you everybody for listening. Greatly appreciate it, and we will see you on the next one.
Thank you.